really is.
Jesse Sylvia and Daniel D. Moon Anderson are on. Looks like we're going to start. We're joining the game already in progress. Looks like we got a big hand to start. Eric's picked up 2 kings in the cutoff. It looks like Stu's picked up 2 jacks in the small blind. Looks like Eric is raised, and then Stu re-raised. Now Eric is 4-bet to 1650 here.
This is a really gross spot right away for Stu because I know that he's played with Eric enough, and I've played with Eric enough to know that he can absolutely be making a move here, just putting pressure on his opponent. So.
Yeah, and it's like cutoff for small blind too, right?
Right.
So he expects Stu to like be 3-betting a bunch of his hands because he's out of position.
And Stu expects Eric to be raising here in the cutoff with almost anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Stu like always has to call here though, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know what the stack says is, but I would assume.
Oh
no!
Oh my God.
No offense, I love you, Stu, but Eric, he's from
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
He's one of us.
He's such a nice dude. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to see the jack on the flop. Wah wah. And he's got a Vikings hat on.
He's representing the 6 and 2 Vikings.
Shit.
We got 2 more cards, guys. We could always.
I know, yeah, that's true. Just
Stu's are running good on this.
Such a dry
Stu
board
ran
too.
really
There's
well
like
last
no
night.
draws.
Yeah.
No draws. Yeah, it's Stu flats here, right? He's not raising at any particular.
Yeah, I don't see any real reason to. I would assume he's gonna flat here.
So again, I'm Dallas Scott, your host, Bellagio Pots. We got Jesse Sylvia, runner-up to the main event. Danielle D. Moon Anderson.
Jesse Sylvia. That's what more do you need to know about Jesse Sylvia? Other than this man is lucky enough to be runner-up in the flippin' main event.
Does that's become part of your name now, though, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
People always
Jesse runner-up in the main event.
Yeah.
I described him on Twitter and on Facebook as he's annoyingly likable.
Yeah, which is like one of the more accurate descriptions I've ever heard of myself.
And lucky, so got that going
I'm
for you.
very lucky.
At least you recognize it.
Oh my God.
Oh, this
check back
yeah,
by
the check
Eric.
back by Eric is gonna save him some money. I think.
I've known Eric for a long time. Like you said, he's one of us. He's from Minnesota. I want to talk to you guys about playing against guys like Eric. We'll discuss it after this hand.
I think Stu's gonna rip and Eric's gonna call, right?
That would be
Most
my
likely.
prediction.
I mean, it's kind of hard for Stu to have a bluff, right? Because like Ace-5 just got there, and Ace-4 made a pair and might try to see showdown, but oh, I gotta get this thing a little closer.
There you go.
All right, boom, we're in. I think our man Eric's about to.
Do you think that Stu would Eric ever be able to convince himself that Stu's value betting here with like queens or something? Because it seems like pretty reasonable for him to. If I'm in Stu's position and I'm flatting and then it checks back on the turn, if I have queens, I'm feeling pretty good here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Eric plays, and I don't know how like light he's known to call down. The problem with I mean, obviously, like the problem with jamming queens for value, and you totally can, is that when they check back, they usually have like air.
Oh, Eric's talking to him a little bit here.
How do you get that hand so many times?
Eric must have watched the stream last night where Stu's flop set over set on last night.
Wow, Eric
Was it
really.
jacks as well?
Yes, he did. He did flop set of jacks last night. That's correct.
This is so sick that Eric really thinks he's like beat.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he would snap him off,
One
but
hand, is that really bad?
sniffing something out here.
In this spot? Take a real 10 feet. One hand.
Be one hand and he might not jam queens.
I would be so absurd. I was just gonna say I'd be so absurdly impressed if you laid this down, but I don't know how you can.
Yeah.
It's just bad luck.
That's actually very disciplined on Eric to just call there, right?
No, well, I think it was all in.
Was it?
Wasn't it?
No. It was Eric Stu bet 2,200.
Yeah.
He bet 2,200?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I can't believe Eric even thought about folding for 2,200. I mean, Stu could easily, like, for 2,200, Stu could have queens or ace-jack or something. Yeah.
So, when you Eric Worre is a businessman. He's not necessarily a professional poker player. He doesn't play for a living. He plays for fun. When you're playing for a living, and then you get a guy like Eric who comes in, honestly, Eric's very wealthy. How does that change your game when you're playing against guys like him?
I don't get any free.
Honestly, I think people like. I think some people over-adjust to recreational players. Like these guys are incredibly smart human beings who have just spent less time at the table than pros. So it's like, yes, they have less experience in certain spots and certain hands, but they're very smart and they learn very quickly, and that's how they amass their wealth generally. So I don't know. I feel like you still want to play a similar game that you're normally playing. You want to have like good ranges and stuff. You just, they will make more mistakes occasionally than you will. But you don't people make crazy adjustments. They'll start calling with like Jack 4 suited so they can play a pot with them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Eric, he's, he doesn't play for a living, but he's a guy that you can obviously tell he's very intelligent.
He is. Eric, he's, if you Google Eric Worre's name, W-O-R-R-E.
Guy's a superstar.
He is. He is I actually just went to a seminar that he did this weekend with Tony Robbins and Pitbull as guest speakers.
Whoa.
Eric.
Yeah, those are some big names.
Yeah.
He's a celebrity.
He is really
Yeah.
And even I used to play 30-60 with Eric back in Minnesota at Canterbury. I didn't know much about him other than from the game, and I've learned more about him over the years. He is probably the most successful person ever in the history of his line of work.
Yeah, he's literally a huge. He has insane amount of Twitter followers.
Really?
Yeah.
Insane. He's got a cult-like following.
All right, I'm gonna have to do some research.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had played with him
in
I had played with him in Minnesota 7-8 times, and I said, "So what do you do?" And everybody at the table kind of laughed at me, and
really.
And he was like, "Oh, I do marketing." And then he was very humble about it. Didn't really say much. And then my friend later sent me a thing, Google him, and I'm like, "Oh wow, oh snap." He's got best-selling books, and he's the go-to guy on marketing. So
he's the guy that has the jets, and he's that guy that has his own private jet.
But he's also awesome.
He is.
He's just so nice.
He's funny, and he's really. We're going to see tonight that he's great to have at the table because he has a lot of personality. He likes to talk a lot of trash. He's actually introduced tonight. We're playing the 7 deuce game for 200 ahead.
Yes, I love it.
Because of Eric, that was his idea.
Yeah.
He's willing to bet anything but red and black flops. He says.
Okay.
Well, why doesn't he do red and black?
Too much of a gamble. I guess. No skill involved.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, if you pick black, you'll probably win more. I pick black, and I've won more in my life.
I always pick black.
I always pick black. Yeah.
Have they been doing bomb pots on the streams at all?
We have had some bomb pots on the
streams.
Normally, they're towards the end of the stream. We'll get $100, $200 bomb pots. We have had the button game quite a bit on the stream. What's your favorite property?
I don't know. I like 7 deuce a lot, but bomb pots are really, really great in terms of if somebody gets stuck, then they try to win the bomb pot a little bit harder, and there's all these weird dynamics going on, and it's a good way to get people a little bit more loosened up for the rest of the game.
We had a bomb pot 2 weeks ago. Maybe Harry can help me out.
Why are you buying for so much?
Where somebody picked up aces in the bomb pot. Was it Ryan LaPlante that picked up aces?
Oh, Mikey D.
I don't even want aces in the bomb pot.
He picked up aces in the bomb pot. Yeah. And Matt Affleck flopped an open straight draw on a 10-9-4 rainbow board. And was able to take the pot away from him after he bet his aces because
you there's so many
no
cards
idea,
out.
Right? He has no idea where he's at.
Yeah, and you know what? Mike felt bad. I've talked to him about it a couple times. He felt really bad about that hand, and I think it's totally fine the way he played it. He doesn't want to not bet aces on the flop because he wants to protect his equity to some extent. But that's not going to have many bluffs there. He's going to have Queen Jack. He might not even raise 7-8. So Mike just has to fold. He can have all the 2 pairs.
He can have
all
10,
the sets.
9-4.
Yeah, exactly.
10-4. All those hands are.
Maybe he just calls with 9-4, but he's definitely raising 10-4 and 10-9, all the sets and stuff. And you're fighting 8 people.
Yeah, and obviously you have 0 defined ranges whatsoever.
We got
wine coming in here.
Yeah.
Stream's about to get better. This was, they asked me to do this commentary, and I said, yes, absolutely.
Wait, hold up.
But only if we're allowed to drink wine while we're
Jesse being the classy individual here, making sure the cocktail waitress gets tipped. Very classy, Jesse.
Like I said, annoyingly likable. The worst.
My favorite hand, 10-8 suited. Let's see how Matt plays this.
The worst beat I've ever heard of happening, not to tell bad. It isn't even me, but.
He 3-bet the 10-8.
A great story for a bomb. There was a bomb pot. My friend was involved in it. And he had queens. And the flop was Queen 5-2, and another gentleman had Queen 5. And they get it all in, and they run it twice. And the other guy on 2 boards goes club, 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 club to win with his 5 of clubs. And oh man, brutal. So that's the thing with bomb pots. You just see the worst beats.
It should be a pit game though, right? We should have that game out in the pit. Call it bomb pots, and everybody just put up money and see a flop.
If you made a table here devoted to bomb pots, I'd be all about it.
Right.
Do we have to have white wine there?
Have a contrast on it.
White wine not required for bomb pots, but it would probably make them more interesting.
Oh, man, last night.
White wine makes everything more interesting, though, in fairness.
Yeah, well, technically all wine makes everything more interesting. You don't need to, you know, segregate.
Cheers.
Last night, this guy came over to me when I was talking to my friend by the bar, and he was trying to tell me a bad beat story about how he lost with aces 3 hands in a row. And I made an excuse and walked away because I didn't want to hear. It seemed like it was going to be a long story. And then I got aces, I lost with them, and I got aces the very next hand and lost with them. And I was like, oh my God, like karma's going to get me. I'm going to lose with aces 3 times in a row.
So Matt's got top pair, and Eric has bottom pair and a flush draw. Oh, now Eric has 2 pair.
Matt's not going to lose any more money with this hand, right? Matt, there's too many hands that got there.
So Eric bet turn, Matt
called
turn, I see.
King on the river, puts the 4 cards straight out there. Eric's going to fire anyway with 2 pair.
Oh, we have action right here, so I can actually.
Yeah, you can actually see.
I can actually see what's going on with the action.
So maybe we should go through, because I'm familiar with most of these players, but I'm not familiar with all of them. So
well, you guys know Detroit in the 1 seed.
Let's see, we got Detroit in the 1 seed.
Ron Corey, local businessman.
Ron, who's also a legend himself.
He is.
Yeah.
Great dude.
Yes.
Ron is awesome.
He does a lot of the work for charity. You like to see guys who have made it in life, and just at this point in his life, he's retired. He plays poker for fun. But I guess for his retirement, his post-retirement, he works doing charity events. You know, he does a lot of charities helping police officers.
Such a pure dude. There are people that you like to, win money from more than others in poker, and then there's people that you're like, oh, you're so nice, I don't even want your money, even though he probably has plenty of it, but still, he's just one of those guys, just so nice.
Yeah. And then Q was in the 4 seat. Who is one of Jesse's favorite players.
Q is hilarious. We need to mic Q up. Just Q.
The mic is actually right next to Q, so we should really hear everything he says
perfect.
tonight. And then we have Matt Moore in the 5 seat. Eric Worre, we've talked about. David Fuss has played on the stream a few times. He's an attorney.
Elliot, your reference.
Have you guys played much with him?
I don't think I'm familiar with him. David is his name? Yes. He looks familiar.
I played with him last night, and I think
I
played with him before.
No, he's from D.C. He's an attorney, but he actually spends quite a bit of time here.
Okay.
And then, of course, Stu Marshak is in the 8 seat tonight.
But obviously, it looks like we're rating his
you guys have played a lot with Stu.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys have played a lot with Detroit, Q, Matt Moore, obviously.
Ron.
I think I've played a lot with everybody here with the exception of David. Otherwise, played a decent amount with all these players.
Do you consider that at this level of 25-50 that is there a player that either of you guys sit down when you see him at the table, you're like, maybe I don't really want to play this game, but just because you just feel like the game is just, their game is that good?
There's never really especially if you're sitting in a full ring game, I feel like there's never one player who can make that much of an impact. Sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to be on that, I don't want that person to have position on me kind of thing. I mean, maybe like 3-handed or something, yes, there's absolutely people I'm like, forget it, they're going to make my life, a nightmare. Not in this lounge tonight, but somebody who I know has played before. I think that Clay.
Yes.
I think Clay
McGuire is one of my favorite players.
Yeah, he's just like a quiet crusher. He just never really, you never really know exactly how he does it, but he just has chips, and then 5 hours later he just has heaps.
He has more chips.
And you're like, oh, and he never shows down a hand. He's just a very, very solid player. So of all the Bellagio regs that I play against, he's a nice guy, so I don't mind having him at the table, but the one that I least enjoy playing against.
How about you, Jesse? Is there something that you feel like just holds over you in life, every time you play them,
I got a few guys that I definitely have never won a pot off of for 3 years, but it's kind of just goes with the variance of the game. I have guys that I've won way too much off of. I was gonna say the same thing as D-Moon. I don't. There's 9 people, so I never worry about sitting with someone in the game. And then I remember that Eric Liu exists, and every time I sit at the table with him, I somehow am involved in a ton of pots.
In a long time.
I know, me neither. I think he's been in LA for a while, but he is.
I know he had a baby and he had some business stuff going on. So I haven't seen Eric Liu. Is a very Well,
he's also unavoidable because he plays more pots than most people at the table, and he 3-bets a lot more. He's just very aggressive. So you're gonna end up playing big pots with him, and if you tend to not win the big pots against him, it's real rough. I have very few pots won my last 5 years against Matt Moore, but like we just don't play that many pots against each other, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters, but you know what I mean. It's like fair enough.
Somebody I know you're familiar with, Joseph Chung. Like, I've never played Joseph in a cash game, but we've played several tournaments against each other.
Oh yeah, Joe's in and out of every pot.
I can't. I just. It's almost to the point where I try to avoid him now. Like, I can't 4-bet him out of a hand when I have a hand.
Yeah.
You know, blind versus blind. I can't shake him, and I can't beat him in the pot either. He just holds over me. Like,
He's a sticky one.
he is.
When Joe's like running good, I mean, when he's not running good, he still plays really well. But when he's running good, that means that he's winning most of the pots he's in, and he's always in a ton of pots. It's like the scariest thing to watch because you're like, how do you play 75% of hands and still win all of them?
Win all
It's
of them. No,
crazy to
it
watch.
is. I think he plays 80% of the hands he plays against me, and
Yeah.
And his range is so. He plays this dynamic type of game where he switches up so often that it's really hard to put him on a range where he's at.
Yeah,
Nice
for
fold,
sure.
Nice fold.
Is there somebody? Well, maybe you don't want to say who you just lick your chops for when you see him in the game. You're like, yes.
Jesse and I have a mutual friend, Mikey D, and it's not that I like lick my chops because I'm like, oh, he's so bad, I'm gonna get all his money. But just every time that we're in a game together, we just play so hard against each other that it's fun every time because people are always like, oh, what is it like playing against your friends in poker, and do you guys not playing against each other? And I'm like, no, that's not really how it works. Mikey D and I play harder at each other than like anybody. It's amazing. We'll just get in with anything. So.
And it's hard not to be friends with a lot of wood players now, right? Because you play them so often in so many games. Because honestly, at this 25-50 level, there's not a whole huge player pool for that game. So a lot of you guys are playing together quite often. So you do become friends with each other, and have dinners and associate outside of poker. So you can't change that friend dynamic, correct?
No, I think I just watched an interview, like an old interview with Nick Schulman the other day, and I think he said it perfectly. He's like, I have too much respect for the game of poker to not go hard at my friends.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and also you know they're going to go hard at you, so you have to go just as hard against them. But it is weird. Like, you go out to dinners, and then you like
and then you come back and try and take each other's money for each other.
And like, I definitely have some friends that go way harder against
they're hoping that somebody else
almost anyone else. Like Justin Young and I like really enjoy hanging out with each other at the table, but like we've battled like every time we played. Like the other day, I opened the button and he folded the big blind, and I was like, dude, like what the hell? And he was like, yeah, sorry, my hand was really bad. I was like, if you're gonna start folding, like, and I don't know that you're about to do that, like, we're gonna have problems, man. I don't think he's ever folded to me.
You definitely like play hard against everybody, but there are some players that you just particularly, it's kind of the opposite of the spectrum where you enjoy beating them for a different reason. I call that F that guy equity. You know, when like statistically and mathematically at that moment it might not be like the best play, but if it works out, this is going to be hilarious, and I'm really going to enjoy it.
But David's got a mystery hand here. We had 2 spade draw, 2 6s on the flop. Detroit should be able to win this with a bet. Eric's completely missed, unless he decides to float here.
Maybe the mystery hand is pocket 6s. Nope.
It is not pocket 6s.
Probably not.
So, like, if you lose at credit card roulette for dinner, does that change your dynamic if you're playing poker with them? Do you want to get that money back for dinner after?
It doesn't change your dynamic, but it's so irritating. I could come sit at a poker table and I can lose very substantial amounts of money, but I go out to dinner with friends and I lose a $80 credit card roulette, and I am like raging tilt. I'm so irritated.
I think of it as like a free roll, because if I lose the pot, it's whatever. But if I win the pot, now I get to needle them about how they really paid for dinner.
And I cannot believe they were offering a $1,000 credit.
Thankfully, I am pretty good at CCR. So
Twins Cat wants to know who is this woman. This woman is Danielle Moon.
Hey.
I said, should I consider
Twins Cat, I'm assuming, is a Twins fan.
Who is this woman?
Yes.
Who is the woman?
So I negotiated.
I am Dallas Scott, your host. You're watching Bellagio Pots Poker on the Strip. My co-host tonight, Jesse Sylvia and Danielle Moon Anderson. The 5 Diamond is coming up. Do you have your schedule ready for the 5 Diamond? Do you know what you're playing?
I usually just kind of play it by ear and show up, and if like cash games aren't good, I jump into a tournament. But I always try to play the 1K PLO reentry, because that is such a fun tournament. I try to play the shot clock now because I think that one's amazing. And I usually play like the 5K in the main event.
We have a tag team event this year. We're at it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
But it's
I'll
a true
definitely play
tag
that.
team event where you must play alternating levels.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, like, you can't just
I
play
like
one
that.
orbit and then bring in, somebody to win the tournament for you. You must play alternating levels. What do you guys think of those type of tournaments like that add something different than traditional form?
Oh, I think it's great. I'm not normally a tournament person. I don't even look at the 5 Diamond schedule. I have no idea. But somebody asked me to play that one. I was like, oh, that sounds kind of fun. I might actually do that. You know, it's just something a little different, mix it up. I think anything that just keeps the game fun I'm all for it.
It's like
I actually thought that they should do, eventually somebody should do a like legitimate tag team where the tournament just ends when it ends, and it could play like all night. That way you actually have to make a team so that you like sub people in so you can get sleep and stuff.
That's kind of cool.
Like a tag team marathon event?
Yeah, exactly.
Like start with some ridiculous amount of chips and like you literally have to, like those Baja races.
By the way, sorry.
Hand, yeah.
No, let's play.
Holy
We've got
cow.
flush over, ace high flush draw. This is pretty sick.
Oh,
Detroit
Eric.
at the
Oh my
helm.
gosh. Look at how bad Eric is running.
Yeah, Eric's running atrociously.
Eric's off to a rough start.
And Detroit is just... Detroit won heaps yesterday, too.
And Detroit has the open-end straight flush draw also.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got 2 of the cards covered. That's kind of gross for everyone. That's probably why Ron only has 11% with his nut flush draw.
What's Detroit thinking right here?
I mean, he's
bet 500.
It's a mixture of like, I hope I don't lose, and because I'm definitely getting it in, and like, oh man, let's go.
And how much money am I going to win this
Yeah,
fight?
exactly. Like whenever you don't have the nuts, you're like, I know how I'm going to play this. I just hope I don't lose. When you have like the 2nd or 3rd nuts.
Normally on every stream, we always seem to have that guy who's just in a bad seat or something. Like he just runs into it all night. And it looks like early on it might be Eric.
Yeah.
I mean, he ran the kings into a set of jacks.
Yeah, this is brutal.
This is a $4,200, $4,400 bet into a $6,700 pot, $5,500.
I would not be surprised if
stack
Choice
sizes
jams.
anywhere? I'm wondering.
And Ron has the convenience knowing that he does not have the nut flush draw here. Detroit does not know that.
Yeah, Detroit's almost definitely just going to jam. Oh, maybe he will just call.
He's got about, I think those are all yellow. After calling the bet, he'd only have about.
Looks like he's got 10, 12, 14,000 total.
Yeah,
he's all in.
Well, and this is at least.
He's at 13-2, so he's all in for the 13-2.
So the thing is, like, he knows when Eric bets that size, he's never folding.
Right.
Like, he's committed himself, so he might as well just get it in and protect when Ron has, like, sets or the ace of clubs. And charge Ron the maximum to get there on him.
Is that a tough spot for Ron or an easy spot for Ron?
I think it's pretty easy.
It's pretty easy, eh?
Because, like, sometimes your outs are tainted and stuff. Somebody's almost definitely going to have a set, and somebody else is going to have a flush, and then you have 2 less clubs, and then the set blocks some clubs that pair the board.
You think it's a play that a lot of novice players make or amateur players make by calling there with the ace high flush draw?
I think
the way this hand played out, I think for most people, I mean, I guess some guy who's got like a ton of money and he just wants to gamble, you know, but if you're, I don't know, reasonably intelligent poker player, I feel like it's pretty easy to get away from there.
Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe the recreational players at like lower stakes make that mistake, but like at the higher stakes, it's like these are very smart guys and they've learned very quickly from experience. Like, yeah, I'm just not calling off on the turn with a bear.
They run it twice, and Eric's gonna see the choice.
They didn't really need to run that one twice.
I don't think they showed the hands right away.
Yeah, yeah. It's always fun when you like negotiate whether you run it once, twice, 3 times.
Yeah,
and the guys
you run it 27 times, you're done.
Wait, what do you have a set? Oh, never mind.
So we talk about this a lot,
I hope Eric
running it twice.
buys back in.
What do you guys? How do you guys feel about running it twice? Do you always run it twice? Do you?
I mean, I generally run it twice. I am happy to reduce my variance, but I see very good reasons to run it once, and I kind of have like a high level of respect for people who will only run it once. Like,
I'm kind of curious. What's your take on what the good reasons to only run it once would be?
basically, like if you think that you're more like mentally durable and you won't tilt from losing a big pot, but your opponent will tilt potentially from losing a big pot, then it's better to just run it once.
Yeah, that
like,
makes sense.
Yeah, more of the time it gets chopped and then no one cares.
Yeah, I can see that. I also think the only other argument other than that I, foresee for not running it twice is it's good for the game in general to have a winner and to have a loser.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
See, I believe in
Definitely.
running it once or 3 times. I don't like to run it twice.
I would love running it 3 times. They
I
wouldn't
feel like
let me
somebody
the other
I
has
don't
day.
to
like running
lose
it 3 times
something.
because it always takes so long to figure out. It's just like I
feel like
want
somebody should lose
hands, and
something
I
in
feel like
the
everybody gets confused. And
We have a new player. This is your buddy Patrick, right?
Yep.
Patrick's
First hand, ace high flop. There you go, Pat.
he's got a pair of queens
just like
against
you want
Ron,
queens.
who could have anything here. See, so I talked to Ron about this earlier today. You guys seem to think that Ron's a tight player when he plays the big game, and through watching him on the stream, we've learned that Ron is anything but tight.
Yeah, he's not tight in the sense
He's
that
got gears.
yeah, Ron is not afraid to like peel some hands that are very speculative. I think he just you don't see him 4-betting the ace 5 offsuit or something like that. He's not like loose in that sense, but he'll definitely like take a lot of flops and he'll get in there, which I kind of like. I mean, in live poker you get away with taking flops a lot more and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call him like tight. He's definitely he's a smart guy. Kind of like
Yeah.
about Eric, where he's like, there are some recreational players who are going to come into the game and they're just going to be so predictable. It's just like what they're going to have and they're not going to mix it up. And they're Ron and Eric are both smart guys who, as they play, like they learn and they adapt. And
Oh man,
so I wouldn't have necessarily. Like, I certainly don't think that Ron is just like, knit tight. I wouldn't call him that at all. Of course, I haven't seen what he's done on the stream. Maybe he's been pulling some extra crazy moves.
I'm going to
Who
say
is
that.
that hot chick on the screen?
So as you can tell, there is a 30-minute delay because that is Miss Danielle Moon Anderson
just wandering through the thing.
standing behind Matt Moore there.
I'm over there advocating for them to do bomb pots. I wish Eric good luck. I did not at this point know that he had already lost the needles. Maybe I should have come over earlier and
Yeah,
wished him good luck.
maybe.
My bad.
Say some good vibes about crypto.
I'm kind of sad that we didn't get to see Ron's hand there. I feel like if I had to guess, he had it. But I love seeing what Ron has when you check back and he pots it or over pots it against people because he's known to do that. And
you played a hand last night with Ron where you got unlucky and Ron hit a 1-outer against you.
Yeah, well, it's not fair to call it a 1-outer because like there's a bunch of other dead cards that you get to see. So
Right. Well, we knew that it was a 1-outer because we saw Benton fold the other 8. Ron made it $200, 200 pre-flop. In the 25-50, made it 200. You made it 600 with aces. Ron had pocket 8s, and Ron flopped a set of 8s. And there was a point in the hand at the end where, like, you checked the flop on an 8-high board, and you said your reasoning for that was because obviously you wanted Ron to take a bluff at the pot.
Yeah.
But then you almost folded the river.
This is going to be an interesting, not to interrupt you boys, but Ron open was 3-bet by Q. He's got ace-king. Ron flop, I think flop is ace-2-5, so Ron's got top pair and a gutter
shot?
ball. Yeah.
he led.
He leads, and I think Q just called.
Yeah, it seems reasonable. So this is like
Q's not thrilled about that turn.
Q actually doesn't mind the turn. He's got the ace of spades on, right?
yeah, that is nice.
Yes.
There's 3 spades. I thought
Yeah.
that was clever. All right, never mind.
Yeah, it's like not the best turn, not the worst turn.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Definitely not a turn he's
Ron's going to bet
folding
2,000.
anything on.
Ron's stab here is like maybe a little optimistic, right? Because it's hard to get called by worse, especially when the queen comes off. Like if the queen was like a 7, his ace might be better. But now like
impressive start.
queens did get there, which of like the non-ace hands is a more likely holding for Q when he calls the flop. That said, Ron always has equity because he can hit a 2 or a 4 or whatever.
2-ball, corner pocket, red 2.
2 would be fun.
Bah, well,
Well, that's
a bad
kill
card
all
for
the
Ron.
action, though, right? Yeah, like he can't bluff anymore here, and he can't call a bet, right?
Yeah.
can't is a strong word. he maybe shouldn't. It doesn't mean that
wow.
he won't.
Wow, looks like he's thinking about bluffing here.
Wow, this is. I don't hate this line at all. It's not obviously. Oh, there you
There it
go.
goes.
It's not going to work when your opponent has the ace of spades, but like, it's pretty clear when Q calls the turn that he either had some sort of like pair plus spade draw, or he had ace that beats Ron or 2-pair.
Right.
So like, turning your hand into a bluff on this river is not like the worst thing ever. You know, like you at least get like the 2 pairs to potentially fold and stuff. Problem is, Q is not like a man who's known for folding. He makes some good folds, but like
he's kind of taking a long time here. Is he just trying to figure out sizing, or is he posturing, or
I don't
what
know.
do you think?
If you've watched the stream before, you know that slow play is like my biggest pet peeve in poker.
Yeah, I'm not a huge
That's
fan
why I
of
love shot clock events.
Stu dropped a pretty sick little Hollywood yesterday.
quickly folds.
Yeah. I wonder what did Q bet there? 2,200.
You know, I wish I had the replay set up because
Oh yeah, that'd
you
be
and
sweet.
Stu played a hand together yesterday.
Oh, I thought you meant replay this.
No, yesterday, where you had Ace Jack versus Stu's King Queen.
Yeah.
You remember the hand?
Yeah. I was surprised that he had King Queen there for sure.
I thought he played the hand marvelously. No offense to you. I just thought
Yeah, no, he got me
played
good. He got me real good.
He played the hand for the most value he could get with the worst hand and got you off the best hand.
Yeah, if it wasn't a river diamond, I was going to call. And if I had ace jack with a diamond, I would have definitely called him. So it's like a little bit thin, but it worked really well. And also, like, I think it was really sweet in the fact that for him to have enough bluffs for me to want to call with a one-pair hand, like, he has to have turned like a pretty good pair into a bluff that has a diamond in it, and I didn't expect him to do that. So it was like real sneaky that he pulled that off. I don't know, I really liked it a lot.
I thought he played. I think when people say people play aggressive, there's these misconceptions on what aggressive is. We see the guys who are aggro and raise a lot of flops, pre-flops, and play a lot of pots,
Yeah.
But I thought that Stu played the other type of aggressive, where he put pressure on everybody when he made his hands. He was continually firing and made other people make decisions.
Yep.
Here's an interesting
King
Jack, Ace 10.
Patrick should be, if he's going to raise his hand under the gun, I feel like he should be continue betting here. He's not even really expected to have, like, King Jack's a bit weak to raise under the gun, and generally the hands he raises under the gun are pretty strong, so like this type of board doesn't really hit anyone. Like, you have the best, I guess, range in this spot.
You're only really worried about is a flush draw, right? Maybe?
Yeah, they could have flush draws, they could have like something like pocket nines that isn't folding, but there's just plenty of stuff like Jack 10 suited and like Ace 10 offsuit and stuff like that are just like going to fold on this board. Even a hand like pocket threes just like is not thrilled to call on the flop. Like it looks like a good board, but when you have pocket threes, even if your opponent has something like Ace 10 with no backdoor flush draw, they could hit a 4 and ace or a 10, so they have something like 38%. So, and then you're just drawing dead versus pairs basically of like 10% or something. So.
And also, if you're just getting up here, with a hand like King Jack every time under the gun, then it just
becomes
makes,
exploitable.
Yeah, then when you do have a hand that you're going to bet with, it makes it much easier for your opponents to. You got to remain balanced in that spot.
Here's a shot of our lovely Bellagio poker room.
We see it's taking my job already. I love it. Last night we saw a lot of this. Harry, our associate producer, we saw a lot of this King 10 under the gun raises last night. And we were talking about the fact that if you're going to play the hand under the gun, you should be coming in with it. You should be raising with it. And I'm asking because you just said King Jack was a speculative hand to be raising there under the gun. Last night we saw a lot of King X suited raises under the gun. You're not a fan of those plays? Even though you did raise King 10 spades under the gun one time last night.
Yeah, well, King 10 of spades is a way better hand to raise under the gun than King Jack offsuit.
Yeah, there's a really big difference just in the having suited or unsuited in those spots.
Because when you raise under the gun, your chances of taking a multi-way flop with people is at its maximum, right? Like, there's just the maximum amount of people behind you that can call. So a hand like King Jack offsuit plays really badly multi-way out of position, but King 10 suited is pretty great. You can make like second nut flush draws. You can make, just like there's more cards you can barrel. Like let's say like the flop is like Jack 9 something 1 spade. You can bet that flop, and then on a 7 turn, like a spade turn, you could barrel all those cards. So like it's just like generally a way better hand to play in that spot.
And also, just if you're raising under the gun with all of your King 10 off, all of your Queen 10 off, all of your King, if you're raising with all of those, you're just raising too often, and that's just your opponents. Good, competent opponents are going to recognize that, and they're going to exploit that. So a good way to kind of like draw that and keep it a little more balanced is to go with that with the suited hands and just let the offsuit ones go.
Yeah, if I see you raise a hand under the gun at 8 or 9 handed table, and you get to showdown, you have king jack offsuit, I'm just gonna start 3-betting the crap out of you.
We have an interesting hand here. It looks like Eric raised to 150.
Is that a promise?
Yeah, no, not you. You'll just 4-bet me.
Eric raised pre-flop with the ace-10 of spades. He made it 150. Stu 3-bet him to 450 with ace-10. He gets called here by Detroit and Ron. It's a favorable flop for Ron. He's got top pair, backdoor flush draw.
Wait, so who opened this? Oh, Eric opened it and Stu
Eric opened
3-bet.
for 150. Stu 3-bet to 450.
It's like a slightly, yeah, this is not too bad.
And Ron's flop top pair here with the jack 10 of hearts.
And Ron's
How do you feel about Stu's 3-bet here?
Yeah, it's like a little
Ace-10
light.
off, yeah, I mean, it's a little.
If they were like hijack first cutoff or something. Was that what they were? Sorry.
Yeah,
they were like
hijack off.
middle position for hijack. Yeah, it was like hijack first cutoff or cutoff first button. I'd like it a lot more, but it's a bit light. But, you know, he's trying to isolate a recreational player.
Yeah, he also, I think Eric he's probably like recognizing, you know, feels like Eric's a wounded animal. He's kind of lost everything. Sometimes you smell the blood and you can open up your range a little bit
But
there.
for guys like Eric and Ron, and I'm speaking, I shouldn't be speaking for them, but the money isn't that significant. You know what I mean? Like, do they become wounded animals in the game?
It's not always about the money. Like, you can have some of the most wealthy people I've played with have also been the people who acted like the biggest babies when they lost small pots. You know what I mean? I mean, people love this game because they're competitive and they come and they want to win. So, in my experience, it doesn't really even come into play that much as far as how much money they have. You know, nobody likes to come in and get your butt kicked. So
yeah, nobody likes losing. You can play for penny stakes
and there's some people who just handle it, you know, better than others. There's some people who come in and they can just take bad beat after bad beat after bad beat, and they're just like, you know, emotionally stoned. And then there's people who come in and they take one, and you can just see their face turning red, and you can see, you know.
Eric's running up against it tonight. He raises here pre-flop with pocket eights, gets called by Matt and Ron. Ron's got an ace. Eric's going to continue here. You like this continuation bet with this hand?
It's ambitious.
Yeah, a little ambitious. Because you're just going to get called by, like, a lot of hands that have gut shots. And then what do? You just get bluffed on the turn.
And there's the gut shot that you were talking about.
Yeah. I mean, turns out Ron had him beat anyways.
Right.
But
and we don't know what Matt has. Matt does have a mystery hand here.
Matt is getting his classic 3-hour massage at the table.
Man, I can only afford 10-minute massages. I gotta get the pay raise
man,
to.
the life of Matt Moore. You know, he's just killing it.
But with all your CrossFit, do you really need all those massages?
No, that's why. Well, that's not why. I have a bad back. I've always had it. It's gotten better since I've done CrossFit, but that's why you sit. It's just sitting is so bad. I don't know if you've ever noticed. If you're ever in the Bellagio poker room, I probably stand more than anybody in the whole room. I wish that we could have standing poker. It'd be great.
Standing poker? We'll have to talk to gaming about that.
Yeah. Put in a good word.
Looks like Matt has a decision here. Did
Matt?
Yeah, Matt.
I'm wondering what Matt has.
Fairly large raise.
Yeah, it looks like 3,100, 4,100.
Ron says, I don't care. Let's go.
Okay. So
now Ron's kicker is no longer in play. So if he's calling, thinking that Matt, you know, assuming Matt's going to bet here, if he's calling with just an ace, he's assuming that he's, you know, potentially calling just for a chop, which is never really an ideal situation.
yeah, I think I would expect Matt to have a lot here, and then maybe have something, when he doesn't have it, have something like, our pre-flop is off, by the way. This is a 3-way pot, right?
Yes.
Eric
raised to
don't want to give away all my secrets here on the stream, but in a spot like this where I'm in Matt's seat, whether I have it or not, on a board where it's going to be like a chop pot, I love like overbetting. I feel like this is a really good spot to overbet the pot to push people off a chop, and also if I do have ace king,
he bet $5,800 to a $9,800 pot.
Matt, show your hand. Come on.
What is that?
Show the queen
of diamonds.
That's a good card to have.
Yeah, he might have just had it.
Interesting.
It's kind of a cool spot to bluff, whether you have the queen 10 of diamonds or the queen jack of diamonds. But that river makes me think that he wasn't bluffing. if he actually had 5,800 behind, it seems like I don't think he would bluff for like a third of pot in a run or half pot.
He could have had like Queen 9 of diamonds or something in river trips.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Danielle RW8612 wants to know what's your favorite CrossFit workout.
My favorite CrossFit workout is the one where I get my muscle up. RJ, thank you. That's my friend RJ. He's goes to my gym, and he's a poker fanboy. So I told him to come harass us in the chat today. I like Grace. I just did Grace today.
What is that? Do I look like I do CrossFit?
It's 30 clean and jerks for time.
Oh.
I feel like you would win all the wrestling matches in this room right now.
Give me a couple more glasses of wine. I'm totally down to wrestle.
I want to see Harry face off against.
I have
Demon.
wrestled Dan Smith in this casino before. Well, no, not in the casino.
Really?
I guess it wasn't in the casino. It was.
I heard you wrestled with a chair in this casino once too.
Yeah. How about this hand here? Woo! And we got somebody
Wrestle with a chair?
an ace, and
You
somebody's
don't know
got
this
10
story?
high. Nope. And
Google it.
and we're done.
All right.
There are some stories that are meant for live streams, and there are some stories that are not. But if anybody who's listening ever comes up to me in person and asks to hear the story, the chair story, I will tell it.
You tell the chair story.
Yes, but I cannot tell it to the world.
We were worried.
I
about
love you, Craig.
we were worried
Craig
about
is
you for a while.
Craig is the poker room manager.
He's Mr. Director on the stream.
Mr. Director. Okay,
Yeah,
I
Mr.
didn't know that we
Director.
had.
Yes, he's he is generally one of the co-hosts, but he's making way for you guys tonight.
Mr.
Ma'am?
Director was my father's name.
Mr. Director is your father's name. I'm gonna congratulate him. Put his business out there. Craig, we talked about he finally got married the other day, and he didn't waste any time. Now he's having a baby. So congratulations. Yeah, he's having a baby girl.
I don't think you're supposed to.
No, he
announce that
doesn't.
for
It doesn't
people.
matter. What's he gonna do? Fire
He's
me?
not telling people yet, but
Oh my
now you
God.
guys.
No. He
As
told
long
you
as you
that.
guys keep it
No.
to yourself, whoever's
No, it's awesome.
Yeah, guys, don't tell anybody, all right?
I'm a dad, so having kids to me is the greatest thing in the world. And I
No,
know you
of
feel
course it is,
you're
but-
always you're heartbroken today because you had to explain to your child.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Okay, if anybody has kids that is listening right now, mute it or make sure they get away.
Take it.
But I don't want to ruin anybody else's life. But I had to have the Santa Claus conversation with my son the other day, and it was it could not have gone any worse than it went. I wish that it was
Yeah, what
filmed.
happened?
Oh, the kid's going to be a freaking lawyer. He basically just tore me apart. He was he put me on the spot where I couldn't lie. He was like, Mom, I need you to tell me the truth. You have to promise that you're not lying. I tried to get around it. He just wasn't having it. He backed me into a corner, and finally I was like, all right, buddy. And so I told him that it was us, and he's like, I can't believe you've been lying to me for 10 years.
Your son is 10 years old, and you just telling him?
His friends don't know. I checked with
Wow,
the moms. Yeah,
wow.
I think they 11, around that age. And he's like, you've been lying to me for 10 years. How can I ever trust you again? And then I was trying to get him excited about it. I was like, well, hey, buddy. I was like, now it's fun because now you can be in on the fun, and you can with your little cousins, you can help put presents under the tree, whatever.
Oh, that was smart.
And yeah, it was smart. I
Yeah.
thought, right? You know what he came back with?
What?
So now you're asking me to lie?
Kids are awesome, aren't they?
Oh my gosh,
Even,
it was
stealing the blind.
it was as bad as it could have gone. It was. He cried, I cried.
There's
It was.
when my kids were younger, I
He's
used to
talking to me now, so at
I used
least.
to tell them they could have any 5 things. I used to tell them they could have any 5 things they wanted for Christmas.
He thought, wow.
But they would make a list. But
Got me?
in order to put something on the list, you had to take something off the list. If you want to torment a child, we used to keep the list on the refrigerator, and my son would just stand there and be staring at the list. And I'd be like, what's wrong? He goes, I want that new Raptor robot. Okay, so what are you taking off? I don't know. And he would just stand there for an hour, debating on whether or not the robot, the new toy that he saw on TV was more important than the ones he already
Decisions,
wanted.
man.
Yeah.
And then, the other thing is, as I'm talking to him about it, he's like, can't believe you lie, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, buddy, I was like, think of all the fun memories that you have because of Santa. I was like, when you were 3, how much fun that was and how special that was, or whatever. And he goes, yeah, you know what? Now, every time I think of that, all I'm going to think about is how you were lying. And he's like, all those memories are ruined. And I was like, oh, my gosh.
Oh my God.
So I think the kid, but in the end, I think he basically hustled me, I think. This could be a giant level because he wants a Nintendo Switch for Christmas. And I wasn't going to get it for him because he already has a gaming console. He doesn't need another screen, yada, yada. But now I feel like I have to not ruin his Christmas because I already freaking halfway ruined it. So now he's got to get it. Yeah, I know. I'm a fish. He.
We got two flush
You know what?
draws here.
If he leveled me like this,
We got a bottom pair here. Is Eric involved in his hand again? He's ahead right now there, but he's against two flush draws.
Yeah, he's not that far ahead.
I would actually beg to differ that he's actually way behind here.
Yeah.
With bottom pair on this board.
Is Matt just going to, like, find it? Because I feel like Matt is going to find it.
I think he's just
There's nothing like being against two flush draws, though, and they both
find a club.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's kind of that's the Matt more. Oh, wow, that's the 7 of spades.
Oh, wow, that's the 7 of spades. Can you guys believe it?
I can't believe it's not the 7 of clubs.
Holy hell.
Me and Matt had a conversation the
Eric's
other day.
going to win this pot with bottom
Oh,
pair.
man, that would be so
Deuce
sweet.
of diamonds on the river.
I don't know how this conversation came up, and I don't know how
Matt
to.
River to 6.
Oh,
Yeah, but
wow, yeah,
well,
Matt's
Eric
going to win the pot.
could take a shot.
So Matt's not going to win 20K, but he will win the pot.
Well, Eric's in position. Eric might fire here, assuming that everybody missed their draw.
You think he'll turn into a bluff?
he just bigly.
Yeah.
He could. I think had he not been so beaten down and defeated at the moment, he maybe would have considered that, but I can't blame him for.
So, like, one of the things, if you watch the stream, apparently everybody can just walk into Bellagio and flop sets. It happens all the time on the stream. The other thing that happens is that set over set happens a lot on this stream. What's the worst spot you think in poker? Set over set's pretty bad, right? Like,
it's not great.
I mean, it's
not very fun.
I mean,
it's
one of the it's like.
It's not as bad as finding out Santa does, and but it's not fun.
And then he's like, I suppose now you're going to tell me that the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny are fake too, huh? It's all just a lie. Oh, my gosh.
Wait, really?
Yeah, sorry, Jesse. Poor Jesse. Just ruined his night.
I mean.
Oh, parenting is hard.
There's no Tooth Fairy, but I still find chocolate around the house.
I find chocolate around the house like 6 months after Easter. I'm like, oh, shit, look at that.
That's awesome.
There's an egg.
I leave chocolate for one day, and it's gone.
Chocolate does not survive in my house.
Yeah, Ashley eats all my chocolate.
Eric's got another pocket pair here. Let's talk about play. This is a great flop for Eric's hand, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great flop for Ron's hand, though, too, right? I mean.
Yes.
As Scott Seaver once said to me, Eric has pretty much top pair and a gut shot. This is a really nice spot.
Right. Did Eric, he just calls here. Do you like the call, or should Eric be raising here?
I missed what the. I guess I. Did Ron lead out here?
Q led.
Okay.
Ron check, Q bet.
Call's fine because you could raise later in the hand, and because you would probably play all your straights and sets the same way, so you want to be consistent. Like you don't really have a reason to raise on this board. You could raise, but like generally you're going to be calling.
I would like to know what Q has here.
I don't know, but if Eric could raise this turn, I think he just gets away with like a lot.
Yeah, I would like a raise on this turn a lot.
I mean, his 6-8 got there too.
Ron folded his straight, so his Broadway he would have made, or his.
Well, he could raise his.
I'm actually surprised.
Ron made the
actually
wheel.
Surprised that Ron folded here when
for
he was
900.
Oh man, if Eric raised this river, it would be really sweet. He is literally the best hand to raise the river with if Q bets. And if Q checks, betting like 6.5K would be really sweet too.
Q doesn't look like he's going to check.
What did Q just bet?
Like 14 in it. And Eric snap folds.
Oh man, I really want to see Eric go like 8K.
I want to see Q's hand.
Yeah, true.
We should make it a rule that it's like a penalty if they don't
Although
adequately
they're playing the show
the
one.
hand.
They're showing one. So
Yeah, but they should be
Yeah,
showing
they have to
us
show
both.
us both.
That's on our and not their end. Like we apparently missed that.
No, I'm
Apparently
going to have a
somebody
talk
knows
with
No,
Q
yeah,
later.
I
This
refuse
is,
to. I'm blaming Q.
This is a bunch of bullcrap, Q.
Bellagio Poker on the Strips. You're watched. That's what you're watching, as you can tell on the screen. I'm your host, Dallas Scott. I got superstar co-hosts like Jesse Sylvia and Danielle Moon Anderson. Jesse, I got a question for you. So you take second place in the WSOP main event. Do people come up to you on the street and say you played hands badly, or why did you do that? Or do they ask you about that?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
I had a pretty controversial bust-out hand heads up, so I have a lot of people that have... some people have been like... Yeah, some people have been like, what were you doing? And some people have been like, so what were your thoughts in that hand? But like, I know what it means either way. I'm actually like pretty okay with the hand. But it's
I
just
be honest,
funny,
that was
like
a
you get a
long
lot
time
of.
ago. I do not remember the hand.
Oh,
See,
it's not a
funny
big deal.
because I didn't even know him at the time, but like, I only remember because I remember Vanessa Selbst was your coach, and I remember seeing her reaction in the stands.
Yeah.
And at the time, not knowing either of you that well, I thought that was just